What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny Gamescast for Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. New York Game Awards nominated, a.k.a. Leftover Poppy. It's Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Greg.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. I feel like I haven't been on a show with you in a while.
Is that true?
It's a
Mike's
feel.
been taking over.
Right.
Yeah, it is the Blessing Mike takeover week. So.
It's awesome.
I know.
You know
That's
what
what the streets are saying.
He's bringing out Halo game cases.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I'm over here opening Pokemon cards.
I'm over here having a good time.
I turned to Andy yesterday, and I legitimately, with no irony in my voice, I was like, an Alakazam would change everything for me right now.
Yeah.
My life would be so much better if I can just open one Alakazam.
Oh, I think, can we trade? I might have an extra.
Oh, well, the trading's not open yet, no.
That's going to be a game changer when you can when trades
man,
happen.
are you kidding?
All
You're
these
giving real money to
duplicates.
real people.
I have so many duplicates.
I'll
of
give
all
you
this
10
stuff.
bucks for an
So
Alakazam right now, Slappy.
It's Christmas in November, Joey Noel.
Hello. Good
Back
morning.
to back Gamescasts.
Back to back. 2 of 3 for this week, I
You
think.
can't get away from it. You're just here hanging out. Thanks for joining us again,
This
Joey.
is so fun.
And of course, he is the taste maker, Roger Picorni.
I made sure that the mustache was extra pronounced.
It
and
is very
shaved,
pronounced
You know what I mean?
today.
I shaved
For
today and
this?
made sure. Yeah, just for this. You know,
Okay.
I got to show up for my girl Max Caulfield. You know what I mean? Got to show up. Got to show
You
up.
got to, I guess.
Got to.
Do you?
No, I
Did
don't.
she show up for herself?
Yeah.
Did Life is Strange show up for itself?
No.
We'll talk about that because, of course,
conversation to be
this
had.
is going to be our Life is Strange double exposure spoiler cast, but we'll get to that in a second. Right now, I'll remind you that this is Kinda Funny Games Cast. Each and every weekday, we come to you with the biggest topics in video games, whether they be reviews, previews, or spoiler casts, or anything else under the gaming sun. You hopefully enjoy that enough that you say, hey, this is a great show and I want to support it. I'll pick up a Kinda Funny membership. $10, of course, gets you good karma for supporting 11-person small business in San Francisco, but it also gets you each and every episode of all the Kinda Funny content ad-free, the ability to watch our afternoon podcast live as we record them, and of course, a daily dose of me, Greg Miller, in a vlog/podcast series we call Greg Way. Of course, if you're watching live right now, thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, you have a special job. Use the youtube.com/kindafunnygames super chats to tell us your thoughts on double exposure, your questions, your concerns, what you liked, what you didn't like. Leave your review, all as YouTube super chats. Of course, if you're watching or listening later on podcast services around the globe or youtube.com/kindafunnygames, please like, subscribe, share, make sure the wheel of content continues to spin with Roger's blood. Damn. Whoa! Oh, it's blood magic! It's blood magic! Everybody, of course, some housekeeping for you before we dive in. You already got the rumors of No Word on the Switch 2 until 2025 over on Kinda Funny Games Daily. Right after this, we're going to stream the new Death Note Killer Within. It's a sponsored stream. It's going to be like 6 of us plus Kinda Funny best friends going through and doing this new social deduction game. I'm excited to see how that goes. Of course, if you're a Kinda Funny member, today's Greg Way asks the question, does Kevin Smith make Greg nervous?
That was my first question when I realized that Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith were going to be part of this. So I'm excited to listen
Does
to
it make Greg nervous?
Yeah. That was
Really? Or
yeah.
you know
no,
a
I'm
bit?
not
Okay.
making a joke. Yeah, that was like I was like, oh, I wonder if he gets nervous still.
It's a good Greg way.
Yeah,
I think you like it.
I'm gonna listen to it.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by Phasmophobia and BetterHelp. We'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be topic of the show. Life is Strange double exposure. Here on this very Gamescast, we gave you a review of chapters 1 and 2 weeks ago. And then talked about how weird this whole rollout was that gave us 2 chapters now, hide 3 chapters weeks later behind this. Roger, bless you, of course, were on a Games Daily where you got to give your reviews. Remind us all what were your scores.
Yeah, my score was a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Should I go in like the top level, or should I just say 6 out of 10? And we just leave
Give me
it at
the
that.
Twitter
Give me top
version.
level. Give me the
Yeah.
Twitter version.
Yeah,
It's a spoiler cast. Gloves are off already.
Gloves
We're
are
doing this. Gloves are off. We can get into anything.
Yeah, I did not like the ending of this game. The last 2 chapters specifically, I felt like nosedived to down to like a 5 to 4 out of 10, in
dang.
my opinion. The first 2 chapters are really good. I stand by it. I think it's
Yeah, of
amazing. I
course.
think it's a really solid foundation for the future of, I guess, that game. But then they just keep on introducing some really amazing ideas that just have no room to breathe. And then they just keep on compounding to the point where you get to the ending of the game, you're like, what is this game? Like, why does this exist? What are we doing? We're setting up a fucking universe. Like, we're doing the Avengers
Which they already
now.
did.
Yeah.
That's established. We don't need.
Yeah.
You don't need to be so on the nose with it here.
We're doing
but okay.
X-Men now. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. And I was just so burnt by that ending. And I'm excited to talk about this because now I can finally say out loud, Max will return.
Max Caulfield
Max
will
Caulfield
return.
will return, everybody. And that's the moment where I was like, what? I can't. Why? This is a 6 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I also gave it a 6 out of 10. And like to go back, right?
Okay, on the Kind of Funny scale,
Yes.
if you're an audio listener.
Yeah, I think overall it was an okay experience. The first 2 chapters really enjoyed, right? Gave that an 8 out of 10 when we reviewed those 2 things. But then the last 3 chapters let me down. And for me, it was just the thing of so much potential in the first half of the experience.
Yeah.
Felt all squandered in the second half of the experience where there were just threads of things that happened where I'm like, all right, so what happened to this guy? Or why did this happen? What's up with this major plot point that feels like it never got resolved in a good way? Chapter 5 felt so messy, and in the way that I was trying to revolve, it feels rushed. It feels like there should be more episodes to this, right? They didn't have enough time to tell a story that needed way more time to breathe and develop. And it sucks because I really like these characters. I really like the cast of characters. I think Moses is awesome. I think Safi is awesome.
Yeah.
I think Gwen's great. Like, I like so much of what they set up with the character writing and who they are and the powers and all this stuff. But yeah, so much of where the core story takes it feels like it loses itself to try to set up a greater universe that I did not want or ask for. And yeah, to Roger's point of the Max Caulfield will return.
Yeah.
For me, that was like an audible groan moment because I'm like, man, I really love True Colors for what it was. I just want more standalone Life is Strange stories. I don't want you to like have to feel like you have to connect all these things and turn this into an MCU-ified thing. Like, this isn't what I want out of Life is Strange, and it feels like it completely misunderstands what the series is. And so at the end of the day, I was let down by it. Like, I'm surprised that a Life is Strange game isn't in my top 10 for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Joey Noel. First off, welcome to the panel. Just
Thank
getting the sound
you.
off. Remind
This is so
everybody,
fun.
what's your history with Life is Strange?
I was reminded playing this game, and I can't remember if I said this on the review or the preview, or if I said it before. I realized I never finished the first Life is Strange
Wow.
game because I got lost in that weird maze with the teacher, and I like couldn't ever find my way out.
You got to episode 5.
She was immersed. She was Max.
Fuck this. I'm watching a YouTube video.
I was so annoyed that I couldn't figure out how to get out of it that I was just like, I'm shutting this off. I'm never playing this again. So I think I ended up watching just like a YouTube video of like what the ending was and stuff like that.
What would have you? Would you choose Bay or Bay? If you had
I
the
would have
choice.
chosen the Bay, the town.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
sorry,
Hater.
Chloe. So as I was like refreshing my memory leading into this, I was like, oh, that's why I don't remember which option I chose because I didn't actually ever choose one.
Yeah.
So I jumped in. I don't know. I think that the Max and Chloe relationship obviously is so core to what I loved about the first Life is Strange game. And as much as I do like the characters, I just don't think that any of those relationships ever get anywhere close to that.
In this game?
Yes.
In Double
this
Exposure?
game.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I never had like a huge pull that like I was like, oh, I need to keep playing this. I want to see what ends up for these characters because I just never cared as much as I cared about the first game.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably give it a 6.5. I think
Okay.
it's fine. I just don't. I am also confused by some of them. I think part of that also comes down to I was interested in choices, so I made things that I just because I wanted to see what happened and not because I inherently wanted to pick that choice. So I think that if I went back and like played it the way that I actually wanted to play it instead of what I thought would be interesting, I might have a different score.
Okay. Of course, I'm well known for loving Life is Strange, loving these walking sims and these choice-based games and choose your own adventures and stuff. And, you know, I look at my notes that I was taking while I was playing, and it was this weird one to be playing this game and no, you guys didn't like how it lands. Yeah. You know what I mean? When I was finishing my Dragon Age review, I got a text at night from Janet that was like, did you beat this yet? I'm like, no. She's like, I'm like, did they? And she's like, they did not land the plane. I'm like, fuck. And then you guys were like, they did not land, fuck. And so, like, it's weird to look at my notes and be like, episode 3. I loved the date scene with Amanda. I'm glad I told
good.
Moses. I love the detective disappearing. Hated that Max and Moses go back to normal, which we'll get to, right? Yeah. But it's like episode 4. She's a shapeshifter. That's so cool. Blah, blah, blah. And then it's like the way this ends, I think negates so much of the stuff I enjoyed about it, and then also calls out so many of the problems the game has narratively. And these games are all about their narrative. And so for me, I'd have to give this a 5 out of 5. Like, I think this, or 5.5. 5.5. Sorry. 5.5. Mediocre, right in the middle there, right? Of like being up from whatever, but I don't think it's okay. I wouldn't, like, as a Life is Strange fan, I wouldn't tell other Life is Strange fans to go play this. Like, I thought they do so much interesting stuff, but then the way they end this is so awkward. And then to sit there and do what the game doesn't do with any one of its plot points, and that's to sit there with it. Like, nothing, everything's bam, 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 bam. So just none of it matters. And so, yeah, like, you know, to lay out the cast of characters and look through and be like, yeah, you know what? I did like Moses a lot, right? Gwen was really cool, and I wanted to see more stuff here, blah, blah. It's the fact that all of their things domino so quickly and are happening in the two timelines, and then they're back together in one timeline, and we have a 2-second conversation about them where they're like, what the fuck happened? And everyone's like
I have a headache.
the way this dominoes, you know, again, Safi, like, even her, of like, it wasn't until I talked to Moses in the bar at the very end, right, where he's like, you let Safi off the hook, or you agreed with her, and I was like, oh, you guys wanted me to think Safi was a bad guy. Like, this all happened so fast. I'm just like, I understand you're going through a lot, Safi. I've gone through a lot too. Powers are hard. I'm with you. It was never like, oh, I guess, yeah, you did all, but you didn't know, but you did, but you like.
So many of the major like the game stops and it's like, hey, this is the choice of the episode, right? Are me trying to think through what the developers want me to feel in this moment, or what potentially they're driving at, and it was never like this organic, oh my gosh, this is a crazy thing. Like, how do I feel? Like, I was never doing the debate thing with Leanza as we're playing this together. Like, that's my favorite part of Life is Strange, is playing with somebody else or any of these games and being like, oh, what do you think? I don't know. It was always like, I guess this is the right thing to do, or I don't know. Like, there was no like moral conundrum for me.
And I think, you know, especially looking back at getting ready for the spoiler cast, I went through and screenshotted all the different choices, right, from all the different choice screens. And obviously the ones where they put like 4 or 5 on it, or like, did you water the plants? I'm like, I don't give too much of a shit about that. But like, looking through them, and like, some of these, like, if I was to ask you guys right now, chapter 1, and this is 003 JPEG. If I was to ask you right now, for Loretta in chapter 1, did you finish Loretta's interview or call her bluff? Like, was that a big moment for anybody? Like, I called her bluff, but I don't give a shit. Like, it wasn't like this.
She was the most ancillary of side characters. I thought she was going to have a way bigger role in the rest of the game.
And that's everybody.
I don't know if there's a playthrough where she does. But
yeah, there's something at the ending, right, where you can talk to her, which I didn't do.
I didn't find that either.
Yeah, you can find her in the storm or whatever.
Okay, yeah, and then you could change her mind or something like that. That's at least what it said in the ending thing. I was like, oh, that's...
And all of this is so surface level, right? Where they just gamble away, I think, to your point, they miss what Life is Strange is. Life is Strange is these relationships. It is these decisions. It is hemming and hawing and having a horse in the race, though, especially for the ending, right, of like Bay or Bay. Like, who did you pick? Like, there's a conversation there, whereas this one's like... And then you even get to the end, and it's like, to not even hear Max's speech to her friends and just get this thing of like, I'm not leaving, credits. I'm like, oh, like, what the fuck was this?
Yeah, no, it's extremely disappointing, and I think that there are some really great moments here. Like, there's moments that, like, the Amanda stuff to me is standout, right? I like that character. I like that relationship. I thought the relationship was also very steamy. Like, Max got some Riz. Like, it was kind of fire.
Okay, no, she does not have Riz.
I think so.
Max,
I mean, I don't know.
That feels like a your choice issue.
Yeah, I mean, my Max was dripped out. Like, she had some Riz. Like, she was putting on the moves. Like, she was like, you want to come back to my bed? I was like, damn, bro. Like, Max really grew up.
Like, Max is a friend where, like, if I'm talking to somebody on Hinge and Max is like, yo, let me talk to her for you, I'm like, no, absolutely. I've seen your game. Absolutely not.
But that's why all the
But
people
it's endearing, though.
Like, exactly. Everybody loves Max, right? Because she is this endearing goof with no social skills or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I fucking kissed Amanda.
Oh, yeah.
JPEG 009, Amanda. I kissed Living World, Amanda. Which, by the way, could we not have come up with it? At least, I mean, I understand you need to be able to explain it to people.
Dead world living.
Dead, living. And Jen was watching me play. She's like, what the fuck does this mean? I'm like, oh, well, Safi's dead in this one. She's alive in the other one.
I love how much they hammered it in with, like, the lighting in each world. Where it's like, the living world has the warm lighting. The dead world has the cool lighting. And I'm like,
no joy, nothing.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, going between the living and the dead worlds, I thought was such a missed opportunity,
100%.
right? Because, like, I was talking to this about with Blessing when we were talking about the review, and going into this, they were like, "Oh man, you're gonna have to like deal with two different universes of two variants of every person that you talk with. So you might say something in the living world, and then you have to remember, oh, you said that in the living world, not the dead world, and you might trip over your words. That rarely happened. Like there was
that ever happened.
Yeah, I think that happened once,
I
but
think it was like one
but it was
time.
not like something you can control. Like your character just said the wrong thing, and you're like, oh, sorry, I mixed it up.
And here's the thing, like I think the one time where I thought it happened ended up, and we're in spoilers now, right?
Yeah,
can
we've
talk
been here
about
the whole
everything,
time.
right? The one time that I thought it happened turned out to be the shapeshifter thing, which I thought was such a cool reveal, right? And like there was so much that you could do with that I felt like they didn't go all the way with. The fact that Safi has this power in that she can be other people and all that stuff. And so for the first 2 episodes, you're seeing these things happen of, oh, there's another Max. Oh, Gwen, like apparently like
stealing
sold-
drugs,
Yeah.
and Reggie ran into himself, and like when they're revealing that, I think in episode 2, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's Coherence, that movie I love.
Yep.
The bad people, the other dimension people are coming over from Earth 2, right? And they're all bad people, and they're fucking things up for everyone. And then when it wasn't that, and Safi's a shapeshifter, I thought that was, oh my god, that's fucking awesome.
I was like, that's such a good twist.
Yeah.
Like that's like, let's see how, like, why is she doing this? Like, what's happening here? And that stuff for me just didn't. The ideas are so good. when I was texting Janet, right? Like one of the conversations we had is it felt like they made like your favorite meal with all the ingredients there, but then they just dropped it on the floor. And I was like, oh man, like I was really excited for this. Like there was so much potential.
I'll still eat it, I guess.
I'm just like very not excited
6 out
about
of
it.
10.
Like some of them didn't quite touch the floor. I'll
Yeah,
say those
it's still good. It's
I'll
still
eat the
good.
top half, you know? But yeah, like that stuff I was let down by, because I thought it was gonna be you have to keep straight what timeline you're in, and like based on if you can remember if you were in the living or dead, like that's gonna affect things. And it felt like there was maybe one thing that might have like had to do with that sort of puzzle.
Yeah. Otherwise, it was just like I can't go into the office in this world. I guess I have to change and go and do it in this one.
Yeah, and that- right. It was so
Like,
brain dead. Like you weren't challenged at any point. Like in terms of what you really. The hardest thing is where they hid the fucking key on this photo frame.
Oh, yeah,
and,
that was
and
broken.
again, the reason I had to ask you about it is because the game clearly was bugged out. Where it was like talk to Vin, and I already talked to Vin, but it never checked. And I had like a bunch of things checked after, which is not how the game's system works.
Yeah.
And then it was like the guy, what's his name? Fucking forgettable ass author that we hate. I got
Lucas.
Yeah.
Lucas and had me have a conversation in his office, and he kicks me out and closes the door.
Yep.
And then if I try to go back in, she's like, I'm not talking to him again, whatever. So then when I jumped to Dead World and couldn't figure out or whatever, vice versa. When I jumped to the other world, couldn't figure out. I came back. Now the door to his office is open again. And I walk in, and he doesn't acknowledge me, and I won't talk to him. Like, all right, well, the game is broken.
Yeah.
So is it broken now in a way that I can't advance, or is it broken? I'm like, Roger, what am I missing? And you're like, oh, rotate the frame. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
God.
that's so funny because I feel that exact sequence has broken 3 different ways that I know. Like it broke twice in 2 different ways for me, and then it broke a different way for you. So yeah, that whole
Which is
sequence
how it broke
bugged.
for me,
Yeah.
because I came out and I was just standing there yesterday, and Nick was like, do you need something? I was like, I'm waiting for Roger because part of my game's broken. Greg's like, I got it. I was like, exactly
picture frame. You need a picture frame? I don't know what we're looking for.
Picture
whatever.
frame down.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's why it sucks that so much of there's everything here in this game is a great idea.
Yeah.
Just none of it gets to breathe or gets expanded on. Like, right, episode 4, my first note is shapeshifter exclamation. And then I love this conversation about powers, because it's something I never really thought about in these games of how Isley is for Max, right? Or, True Color's character whose name...
Is it Chloe? No.
No.
Alex?
Alex,
Yes.
thank you very
That's what
much.
it is.
Killing it.
You can talk to somebody about having these powers,
Yes.
but you've never met somebody who has these powers.
Absolutely.
So when you have this moment of Safi and Max just sitting there and pushing the bottle cap back and forth, I'm like, I love this conversation about powers. Like, this is such a nerdy comic book Greg kind of thing of like what you would talk about or how it would feel to meet somebody else in that.
That should have been the
universe that has
entire episode, is my
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
like the fact that these 2 people spent their entire, teenage years going into adulthood now, feeling like they were the only people in this universe that had these weird powers, and now they can actually meet face to face and talk about it. And also the fact that Double It, like, it's her friend who died in this other universe, right? Like, that's also weird. And they're able to talk about it, and they talk for 15 minutes. And, like, I know it's like a big chunk of this episode, right? But it's also not, because then we just get up and like, okay, now we got to expose Lucas. Why do we have to expose Lucas? Like, why the fuck is
Why
she
is
doing
this
this
the focus?
now?
It's definitely that thing where the way I've been burning the candle at both ends, I nod off once in a while playing a video game.
Sure.
But it was like when I definitively, like, I enjoyed the conversation so much, right? And I was like, this is awesome. Stop here. I'll play this at work. And when I started up at work, I'm like, did I fall asleep? We're in the snapping turtle. Like, we're fucking exposing motherfucker right now. Like, what? Did I miss a cutscene?
It makes 0 sense as to why this is happening, because they establish very clearly that she has no qualms about just changing it to anybody at any time. Like, this is not like a new thing that she's like, oh, they fucked over my
She's
book
not
deal.
even struggling.
Yeah, exactly. So she's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna expose him now. And I'm like, you could have done this when Maya died. Like, why didn't you do this when Maya died? Like, why are we doing this right now in this very specific moment? It felt very rushed. And if they just took that reveal and then they expanded that reveal to the next 2 episodes and then we ended it somewhere, I don't know where we would end it. But if we just expanded that would have been, I think, to me, like brought it up to like a 7.5 to an 8.
Can we talk about Safi's powers?
Yeah.
Because this is one that confused me a little bit. So, is she manipulating people's brains to then
Yes.
see something else? So if you
Yes.
catch her on camera, it's there. You just see her.
No, because we
they
have Gwen on camera.
That's what I thought.
Of course.
I don't.
has
I don't.
to-
I
she's
know.
just
That's
physically
the double
turning into people.
exposure. You have to double expose in order for them to snap out of it. Is that right?
I guess. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Wait,
Like,
it wouldn't happen
it's
on
this-
camera because it's recording and
it
not.
feels like an explanation for a power that I'm like, you did not need to go that deep into
Yeah.
it. Just call her a shapeshifter.
Yeah, I know, right? That was my thing too. Of like, but the problem with just calling her a shapeshifter and she can shapeshift like Alex Mack or whatever is the problem that my favorite shapeshifter. She can be water.
Mystique was right there.
No, Greg wants the one that can be a
You
puddle.
they for some reason want this scene at the end of the Professor X thing, which is again a cool scene and a cool idea. But as soon as you stop, you're like, but wait, like, all right, so she's tickling their brain to make them see it, but then now she's taking over their brain for them all to talk. And but if it needs to, but the cameras, why would the camera?
And she can only do it to people who she's seen or been around, right?
Yeah.
But then how does that affect the brain tickling? Like she can do that with everybody on campus unless she's seen everybody. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
no.
double exposure thing, like the taking the picture and then double exposing it, and that being the way Max frees people. Also, I respect the swing, but did not it did not work for me whatsoever. Yeah, there was a lot of weirdness in that 5th episode where I think this is the side of Life is Strange that I don't enjoy as much, and I don't think True Colors had anything like this, but Life is Strange 1 kind of had a similar episode 5 where everything's weird now and everything's kind of trippy.
Yeah.
And I did not like this version of it. Life is Strange 1, I liked it fine, but it was also one of those ones where I'm like, all right, don't do this again though. Like I like this here.
Don't do this. Never do this again. Never do this again.
And they do it again, and it's just not working for me where Max is going from scene to scene essentially and like just freeing people and having these weird conversations with them and they're taken over by Safi, but they then get freed and they're aware of what's happening, and then also the timelines are converging in ways that are kind of confusing, and then she goes into this loop of a hotel room and the hotel room is in different locations but it's the same
But
hotel
we
room.
don't really.
And I
We've
don't-
never seen that,
Yeah.
right?
Like the
What,
whole
the hotel rooms?
Yeah.
is it from Life is Strange 1 that hotel room?
This
No,
is-
no,
this is
no.
her on
This
the
is
road.
after the fact. This is
Yeah.
her and Chloe are on the road.
Yeah.
It feels
Oh.
like the way that it is presented makes it feel like we're supposed to know what, or I guess she does say where it is.
On
but
your
I'm like,
game, was it Chloe?
do we?
It was you and Chloe? Like, did she specifically say that, or did you guys break up at that time? Because for me, of course, Chloe's dead,
Yeah,
right?
same.
So it's just
Monsters.
so then it's just like she had
Monsters.
like the pins or whatever. Like, remember her, like that bag.
She in one of the hotel rooms, she specifically says something about Chloe.
Okay.
So my interpretation was that we know that after Arcadia Bay, her and Chloe bop around the United States, and eventually they break up, and she continues to bop around until she ends here in Vermont.
So there was never a point in your game where they confirmed one of the, or like where they acted like Chloe was dead, or like you chose. Bay
well, in the
over Bay.
beginning, it says, beginning there's some choice
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
that sets it up
Yeah.
if you saved Chloe or if you let Chloe
That was
die,
one of the things
right?
that did surprise me is like, yeah, there are parts of the game where I felt like a double down of, oh yeah, like Chloe is dead in this universe or whatever, and I'm in my head. As I was playing it, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if they're committing to this, or if it is different per game." So it's really cool to hear.
Yeah,
that,
if
like-
you throw up first JPEG, right? It says with Safi, what happened to Chloe? Did Chloe live? Chloe died. In my game, as of as of most update, 53%. Yeah, she lived. So yeah,
That's
Chloe
way
is
closer than I thought.
Chloe
it
is
would be.
grateful to be alive, but the
Holy
past
shit.
still haunts you both. So yeah, the story for me then with Chloe, right, or my Max and Chloe is Max puts it poetically of basically, or recounting what Chloe says, something to the effect of like, Chloe wanted to move on, but I couldn't leave the past. You know what I mean? Of how she kept rewinding time, or how she had done that in the game or whatever, and how she felt about that. And so, they grew apart because of it. And so, Chloe is still alive and kicking and active on the social feed in it. So,
Oh, that's
there's
interesting.
nuts.
you have your final, you have the texts in your phone, right?
Yeah.
You have the Chloe one, and you have the final one you sent years ago, theoretically. I don't think they're dated, right? But forever ago, before the actual breakup, right? Of like, so, you guys going back and forth and then saying something like, 'cause she like, you're in some city and she was going out to get you breakfast or whatever, and like you say something like she says something, she's awesome. And so anyways, that you have that, and you always can look at it. It's like super sad, like it's a saved message or whatever. And so Max will reference Chloe throughout a few times, especially when things go super south here. Whether I think it was maybe episode 4 or 5, something it goes wonky or whatever, and she's like, I know I could call you, Chloe, and you'd answer, but I got to solve this myself, kind of thing. And there's a few other things, and
there's a similar thing where I think she says like, I wish you were here. So like, yeah, it's the.
And Chloe, yeah, she's on tour. I think she's in New Orleans at this point with her band or whatever and stuff going on down there. And so then, yeah, it's all very, very fine. And then at the very end, in chapter 5, you get a text from Chloe that is, hey, I saw the storm in Vermont, just thinking of you, kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. It's the first time they've talked in forever. And you don't respond to it. I don't think you respond to it. I think you look at it and say something.
And respect to them for not, like, bringing up Chloe in this one, like, fully. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I was totally...
When we were getting into the tornado and we started going through
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're going through the hotel rooms. I'm like, am I about to get Chloe popping up here and have to fight that demon off or whatever? But again, the hotel room thing is just still, like my problem is these scenes don't feel like they acknowledge the scene that just came before them. And for me, you know, the one I talked to you, I think you about, right? Maybe both of you, I forget. But it was the idea of the alderman, the policeman, right? Of like, okay, cool. I thought it was really, really cool, right? First off, telling Moses, explaining it to Moses, using the power for as basic as the power is that they make you use it, you know what I mean? Especially when it's later of like how to break the projector. Yeah. And Moses is like, I think you'd be here now. And I was like, oh, we could have done this a better way. It doesn't matter. You know, you show it, the cop shows up, the cop's like, you're fucking furious. How'd you do the telescope? And then he's like, all right, cool, you're going. And then he sees himself, right? And I'm like, oh, that's really, really cool. And then he touches himself and starts fucking time copying. And I grab him to try to save him, right? But he still gets, yeah. And like
what
Moses.
Did you guys pick in that moment?
Save him. I tried to save him.
Yeah, I tried to save him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saved myself.
Damn.
I was like, oh, fuck this guy.
Hero, Joe. Right?
So then he explodes for everybody.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Like most of the decisions.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Doesn't really matter.
And like Max is like, holy shit, and Max has seen some shit, and Moses is just a nice little science dork, and he's like, oh, what the fuck? And then they both are like, well, let's go to the snapping turtle and bullshit around. Like, what the fuck? No, like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and we don't even talk about that sequence. There's just a few text messages of the back and forth.
Yeah,
with Moses,
that was crazy, right? Yeah, we saw 2 men die in alternate reality.
There's another one of like, you know, you mentioned like, did I fall asleep or what? Like, that was another one where I was like, did I miss something? Like, what? That detective, we didn't get any resolution on why he exploded out of nowhere and why he saw another version of self.
You just get I got the Moses thread of like
I got
Moses
the
looking
text.
into it.
But like Moses didn't find shit, right?
Well, no, he found out that
didn't
he
he
had a
never
widow.
born?
He was never born.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? Why?
And it's so interesting. Like, that is such a thread that, again, we could have expanded on that. That could have been the entire game. And I would have been like, fuck yeah, let's figure out what's going on.
Or if like that had been Safi and then she made something happen to where he was gone, then she had like real villain powers.
Yeah.
Do you think
Something
he's like
more
gonna
exciting.
because when the game ended and there was no resolution on that, immediately I was like, oh, he's gonna be the Infinity Saga, like
the
villain.
alderman.
Yeah, like the next game, Safi is gonna be looking. She's gonna be the Magneto in the situation, right? Looking for other powered beings, and he's gonna be a true villain. Like what?
What the fuck?
It feels like they're trying to build to something.
He'll come
where
back
I'm
with
like,
his army of aldermen. I've gone through the men. And on that note, I'll remind you that with your Kind of Funny membership, you can get all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch live as we record them, and of course, a daily dose of me called Greg Way. But right now, you're not using your benefits, so here's a word from our sponsors.
This episode's brought to you by Phasmophobia. The genre-defining horror game is finally out now on consoles. Yes, that's right. The phenomenon that is Phasmophobia has finally entered console early access on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X and S, with full cross-play support across all platforms from day one. Join the already almost 20 million players on Steam, including our very own Snowbike Mike, and get ready for some spine-chilling ghost hunting with up to 3 friends. Experience the horror as you investigate immersive haunted locations and gather evidence to help you succeed. With several different ghost types and unique traits, no ghost hunt is ever the same. Making sure you work as a team and utilize your equipment is the key to making it out alive. It's time, Ghost Hunters. Phasmophobia is out now on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X and S. Gather your friends and prepare for the terrifying ghost hunts that await. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I want to take a moment and say thank you to Barrett. Barrett always goes above and beyond to keep all of our shenanigans going. This month is all about gratitude, and in addition to Barrett, there's another person we don't get to thank enough. Ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world that isn't easy. Therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. You can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace, and it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny.
Vince's first name.
That's why. That's
all
yeah,
depends.
of course. How could we forget? How could we forget Vince?
Do they ever say that?
I don't know.
Probably on some business
I don't
card
know
or
why.
something
I
that
thought his
never
name was
looked at.
Jason.
Jason Aldean, is that why?
Oh,
maybe,
yeah,
yeah,
country
that's
music superstar. Yeah, Jason
I
Aldean.
loved what they did with Alderman, especially like him kind of going insane. Like it was very over the top, but
Yeah.
I also
Well, again though,
you saw something.
Perhaps one of the only legitimate reactions because in his, I forget which way it goes, but in his world, he's walking around our studio, looks that way, and come back, and the wall is in boxes. Your mind should break if something you were just looking at either constructs or deconstructs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even Moses in that world was like, "Hey Max," what is she like? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird. I gotta
Weird as
go.
fuck,
Like,
bro.
what the fuck are you talking about?
I had this about episode 3, or when we start learning about like Maya Okada, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, I cracked it. This is what they're gonna do, right? We're gonna finish the story, right? And we're gonna do Before the Storm 2, right? Where we're gonna do Maya Okada and Safi and Vin.
Oh.
And I was like, oh Jesus, what happened, Greg? With your
all
comment?
grounds. It was all grounds at the bottom there. I'm gonna be feeling it for this stream. I'll tell you what, everybody.
And I was like kind of excited by the idea, right? Because I think Safi and Vin and potentially Maya Okada are interesting characters, especially Maya Okada being fucked over by Lucas. Like that's a subplot to me that I wanted that to follow up with, but we're never gonna really do that. No.
Why? Because again, it's like, but like you say that, and you could see where that would be a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here it was so ancillary. Okay, this is what happened. Okay, he's mad, or Safi's mad about it, and then we call him out on it, and it's like he has a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so at what? When did Max shoot Safi?
So
the original
that's
time
what I was gonna bring up, yeah.
without the tornado.
We never closed that loop, and I still to this point I don't understand how we started there exactly.
I don't have an answer for you.
It's just timey-wimey. You know what I mean? Did she ever shoot her?
Do you think Safi in our world had powers? Our original
Yes.
timeline?
Yes.
I think it was
Absolutely.
confirmed, right? Because she was doing power shit.
No.
No,
It was all dead. It wasn't until we introduced Dead World that there starts to be this.
Or living world.
But she
Yes.
said that she's had power. Like nothing has changed in the past, right? At least from what we know, right? In the living world, there's never like, oh shit, that never happened in the dead world, right? Like it's just always it branched off after her death, right? So everything she's saying, like, oh, I've had power since I was like 16 or whatever. That seems to be
Yeah.
correct, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I just feel like, again, it's like that would be interesting to explore, right? and then they just bring the timelines together, and then everyone has their memories of the two timelines, and then like Diamond stops you after, and like, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. Again, I don't know what we're trying to do with these subplots, but so we got Vin, who works with Yasmin, who is part of the Maya Okada thing, but also runs a secret society that's holding elections that Diamond wants to be a part of, and Diamond would like to fuck Moses, but he's in a relationship, but she hangs out with Reggie all the time, but then Reggie and one... What the fuck are we doing?
It's too much.
Prune this back and give it an A plot and a B plot, and let's go.
Yeah.
Why are you doing
I never got the secret society thing.
A through M plots, and
Yeah.
they're all fucking garbo?
What do you mean you never got the secret society?
Like
thing?
what's up with it? Like what is it just a club?
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just a
for
club, I
access.
think. Yeah, it
They
doesn't...
like to like pull some pranky things.
Is that it?
Wait, and
Yeah.
the prank was throwing a deer head through the window of a girl you date. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, don't they steal like someone's phone? Amanda's phone?
No,
Is
that was the whole thing of Vin's phone got
that's
stolen,
right.
but it was because Safi stole it trying to
Yeah.
hack in to get whatever information she needed for that MacGuffin.
L
Fucking-
Watcher in the chat also brings up the question that I've had the whole time. Is there a Max in the alive world? Is this not
So-
an issue?
I guess no. Like I think there's one Max, but she's shifting between timelines. So when she's in one timeline, the other timeline just has nothing. Like she's just absent.
Just disappears, I
Yeah.
guess.
Which is
Which is
weird
wild.
because everybody else, is that part of the powers then? That she's a singularity and just goes
I
in
guess.
between?
Yeah.
Right?
Because I guess Safi only
So when
exists
they
in one
exactly
Texas
when there was the
Binge.
death, when Safi died, that shatters the universe but keeps one max. Okay,
It doesn't make
why? What?
I think it would be more exciting if Max had to navigate the alive world, dodging herself, so that
totally.
she doesn't.
And that was
have
my
the
thought,
same
right?
thing
Of like
happen.
when again, I think it's a cool. Again, these are all great scenes. Not
Yep.
all, but lots of these are great scenes and great ideas. So like when we're chasing Safi, but when we're chasing other Max and other Max falls into the ice, I was like, oh, this is cool. You can't touch her. So she's got, oh, maybe they already touched this point, but you know what I mean? Of like, do you let her die? And then she pulls her out and she turns into Safi. And my dumbass did not see that that last thing and
Same.
go shapeshifter.
Same.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, they rather you, and then the next one like, oh, shapeshifter, like, oh, okay,
It's like the obvious
okay.
thing of like, okay,
she got a
yeah.
scratch face, sure, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But it was just like, what? And I was so excited to meet other Max because I
Yeah.
thought for sure that's
'Cause I
where
was
we're
like,
going.
oh, she's like a asshole. This is interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like-
yeah.
Which Leanza pointed out when we're playing it, she was like, "Oh, that's like a direct comparison to the original game when then she was in the diner, right? And she like sees it was like the alternate version of her when she was like the weird episode 5 thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's like kind of like a shitty version of Max who's like telling Max all the different things that she fucked up in her life, right? So she was like, "Oh, like maybe it's like a manifestation of that." No, it's a shapeshifter, which is fine, but we just don't capitalize on it afterwards.
a great
And
swerve,
yeah.
but then we
Yeah.
should have answered a few questions.
And I feel like we should have had the moment where it's like the game just becomes about Safi fully, right? Like we're playing a Safi, or we are focused on her story and her origins, and all the things that she had to deal with her mother. Like we're just so
I
complicated.
think
so
at that point, it
complicated.
should have been like a battle against, again, what are we doing that's fucking up the timeline, right? And like I feel like that should be the final boss more so than what's his name, the fucking author dude that plagiarized
Lucas.
Mayo College.
Yeah, again,
I think that
Lucas.
the final thing should have been the reveal that Safi was a shapeshifter and she's been fucking all
No,
this stuff
I
up,
think
or-
I like the reveal in episode 3. I think more so it should have been built up into, all right, how do you die? Like, who shot you? Why did you get shot? Right?
Yes.
Like, I thought for sure we were building up to Safi had transformed into Max and shot herself to save the timeline. And I was very excited to figure out, like, okay, why did we get there? Like, what the fuck happened to that you had to do that? And yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been the more interesting aspect following up on Life is Strange 1, where that was the whole thing, right? Like, Max keeps fucking up with time. Now she has to make the ultimate decision. I thought for sure that was going to be Safi's ultimate decision.
Do you think that we get back to that point in the next game or the next game?
And that's the thing is, I think we do.
yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the threads that are hanging here are just going to be, all right, in Double Exposure 2 or whatever they call the next Life is Strange game, maybe you are playing as Maya, and that ends up being the thing where we finally get back to maybe it is her that shoots herself as
Yeah.
Max, or, you know,
Safi, you mean, or Maya?
or Safi, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Safi shoots herself as Max or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I think we get
do
back
you
to that.
think we get another Life is Strange?
No. I think this one, I mean, it's interesting seeing the reviews because IGN
73 on Metacritic right now.
IGN gave it a 9, like 3.5. 73 though isn't, I forget, I don't know what the earlier Life is Strange games were, but I'm pretty sure they're over 73.
I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah.
Like, I wonder if this one gets received well enough to even do a sequel.
That's my thing about it, where I think is, you know, Square has been so not wishy-washy, but is very much like, Western developers, what are we doing? Obviously,
Yeah.
they got rid of Crystal, they got rid of Square Enix Montreal.
Wow.
Yeah, Life is Strange
85.
original 85 on
Damn,
Metacritic,
Life
True
is-
Colors in 81.
Some respect on True Colors.
Come
It's
on.
I wanna
78
go,
for Life
it
is
made
Strange
me
2.
want to go back and finish it because I never finished.
Well,
True
dude, Life
Colors.
is Strange. Wait, one or
True Colors.
yeah, True Colors. I thought
So
was
I only
so
got
good.
one chapter,
and that
into
was
True
why it was
Colors.
so like again to talk about like there's so many things. I think I broke out in the deal here, right? IGN's synopsis, right, from Nick Millette, who gave it a 9, right? After several attempts to recapture what made the original Life is Strange so enduring, developer Deck 9 Games totally knocked out of the park with Life is Strange Double Exposure. I don't agree, and I really do feel that True Colors that captured what made Life is Strange special. I have so many great memories about that game, but I digress. This is a worthy sequel to the game captured the hearts and minds of millions of people way back in 2015, myself included. The writing is great, yes. Well, no, parts of it, right?
Yeah.
The music is excellent, yes. Cinematography and acting are top notch, yes. Like, that's my thing where it's like, so much of what I loved about True Colors was, oh my God, it looks so good and the acting's so good. And like, that exists here. It's just that all these plot lines and stories don't make sense. It's too complicated. The fact that they even introduced this, like, again, Lucas is the main bad guy. But, okay, but is he? Because then Gwen, who got the book through, then got cold feet and canceled it with one call, but then it turns out it was her mother all along. Like, why are we?
Which is so predictable.
Why
by
are
the
we
way.
exactly?
Yeah.
Why are we adding in a third bad guy for this plot line? I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
Like, no, like at least get rid of Mom and Gwen from this equation and let it just be Lucas. Let Gwen be caught selling drugs.
Well,
which is
I
a whole-
feel like that was a direct like, hey, we can't do another, male
Bad
teacher,
teacher. Yeah,
who's
yeah.
like who's the thing behind it all. So I understand that, but it does feel so rushed. Like we get to Yasmin, and it's like, okay, sure, I guess, yeah. I mean, I could have seen that a million miles away. She clearly was disapproving of her daughter the entire time, right? I again, there's so many good things here, and I kind of get angry because like I look back at like the Maya Okada stuff, the Safi stuff, the Vin love triangle of it all. Because I don't know if you read one of the books or whatever the text message, I don't know what it was, some type of literature in the game where they were saying like, hey, like they were all connected, like they might have been like a throuple of some sort, like they were.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an actual throuple, but like it was Maya, it was Safi, and Vin was right behind them like a dog, is what the way they said it. So like I don't know what that is. That's super fucking interesting to
means he
me.
was sniffing butts.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. But like he,
And I think like,
I get it, man. I get it.
but yeah,
Just like me.
I
for
agree
real.
with Vin or I agree with you about Vin because Vin is a character at first I thought was insufferable, but then
Yeah.
they have him grow on you a little bit,
Yeah.
and it was working on me.
Yeah.
right. Like those the whole.
Did you kiss Vin?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
But, like,
they introduced that way.
anybody-
No, they introduced that way too
I didn't
early.
either.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was committed to Amanda at this
Yeah.
point. I'm trying to make it
Especially
work.
right after you have the Amanda scene, it
Yeah,
felt like
they set
you
Vin up
didn't
to
give
fail.
it. I mean, any room to breathe. Which
For
is
the
kind of
record,
story
according to
of this
JPEG010 from last night, or this morning when I screenshotted it, Kiss Dead World Vin, which is such a terrible name, 50% passed, 31% kissed, 19% didn't even talk.
Didn't even talk to him. Yeah,
so sad.
which again makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised we even got up to 31% because
Yeah.
they set Vin up to fail, putting him right after your potential romance with Amanda, and then also it being too early.
72% kissed Living World Amanda, 10% pulled
He got
away,
to.
18% didn't get the
You got
opportunity.
to. Amanda's literally the first character like you see in the game, and she's like,
and they're so cute,
yeah.
and flirty, and
And Safi's like, yo, you should go talk to her. And immediately it's like, oh, I really like this character. Then I think you were like in the middle of that arc of you starting to like Vin, and they just it just wasn't ready yet. You know,
Yeah.
weren't warmed up enough yet.
you needed this convo and then to have a second one.
Yeah.
I feel like
But I would like to explore more of that character, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that triangle between him, Safi, and Maya could be very interesting. I still go back to going back to the Yasmin conversation. The end of I believe it was episode 3 where Safi shoots Yasmin. I did not buy from that character. I understand that she was having like a Mako freak
I think it
out.
might have been 4.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mako freak
it was
out.
a Mako freak out scenario, obviously, where her powers are making her go crazy. But like, I don't know. It felt so out of character, but then also I'm like, where? That was another one where I'm like, why are we here? Like, what does this serve? Yasmin, at this point, didn't feel like a strong enough villain for to be shot.
All of these things are such leaps in logic and such escalations out of nowhere. Again,
Yeah.
of like, I'm a shapeshifter. Well, I tickle your brain, and then I'm tickling everyone's brain, but I'm projecting into their brain. So you're just Professor X? Like, I don't
and,
know.
And it's an entire town that this has happened to now.
Yeah.
Like we've expanded upon just 2 people, and now an entire town has had 2 timelines combined into one. Like that is an insane idea. And by the ending of this, the whole thing that none of this matters. Like none of this mattered. Safi's fucking alive. That pissed me off. The fact that Safi is just canonically alive now is like it. I can't. I
gotta
can
assemble
never.
the
I
X-Men.
can. She was dead. She died, and I understand we're trying to like it. Just she's just alive now. Okay, fine, whatever.
you
Like the
think-
morning doesn't matter anymore.
Do you think the merging of timelines
Oh
could be the
shit.
thing that made her evil? Because like, if you think about it, right, like all their brains got merged into one, but like her brain got merged into a dead brain. So
Half the day she's just dead.
so she's like a half dead,
zombie.
half zombie
At the end,
version.
again, like my last screenshot at number 13, right, is did you accept or reject Safi, right? 68% agreed and accepted her, 32% refused. Safi still believes in you is the option there. So it's like, again, I didn't read anything
so
she
I
was saying. Is, I'm going to get the mutants and we're going to war against the humans.
I felt the writing on the wall, so I refused it just because I was like, I feel
Ooh,
like this
tell
is.
me.
I just it wasn't anything crazy. I was just like, I just was playing this. I'm like, they're setting her up to be like this, like, oh, I don't believe in. I can change fate. I can do exactly what Life is Strange 1, like Max felt like she can just rewind time. We can use our powers. We're gods. Like she didn't say that at that point, but she was kind of getting there. So I was like, let me refuse, and she was just like, oh, really? And she kind of got a little mad at me. And then same ending that you all felt. Like it didn't change too much.
Yeah, I totally got that she's about to become Magneto.
Yeah.
But like, not that like she's about to be evil right
But I
this
was like,
very
you
moment.
go, girl, go be. I don't care.
That's where I was
You got
at
a raw
too.
deal. Everybody sucks here. Right?
Yeah.
Just like everybody in Arcadia Bay, they deserve to die.
As soon as she was like, we can find more people like us, like come with me, I'm like, all right, cool. This is 3 more games right here.
Can't wait for
Yeah.
Safi to roll up on
So-
Alex. What is your power? She's like, I feel emotions. All right, see you later.
We don't need you.
And that's the thing, like, what are these sequels, right? Because we're definitely gonna bring back the kids or kid. I don't know what happened in Life is Strange 2. I don't know. They might have both died. I don't know. But
Depends
like,
on your ending, I do believe.
okay, but like we're gonna bring back some version of that, right? We're gonna probably get Alex. We're probably gonna Chloe's definitely gonna be a part of this, right? Like that sucks. Like I do not.
Way.
I do
I
not.
think you find different. I think
Chloe might be gone.
No, I think Chloe's gonna show. We're going back to Arcadia Bay. They said it. They said it at the ending of the game where she's like, where they're talking to Moses, and then I believe she looks at him and is like, I might have to go back eventually. Like eventually.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, she said that. Like they tease her going back to Arcadia Bay.
Oh, my whole.
I mean, well, Arcadia Bay is dead for you, right? So Arcadia Bay is just gone for you.
Great
right?
point.
Yeah.
Great
So for me,
point.
like they
Well, I'll tell you right now. Then you're not going back to Arcadia Bay.
Oh, really?
If they got to split it and make it make sense either way, I don't think so.
yeah, I think they're going back.
Was
to,
your speech her being like, "I'm staying"? Because that's my speech. Max says the
forget,
whole
I'm
thing.
sorry.
Like
It's
her
been-
final thing is just like, and I've decided I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, cool. What the
Oh,
fuck
that was
happened with
mine
the
too.
timelines? Diamond just asked you, and you said you talk about it in a second. It's time to talk about it.
Here's the thing. El Watcher in chat brings up an interesting point. That's how they bring back Chloe, bringing the 2 realities together, which would be very messy
Oh.
if they did it like that. But like,
I think you guys would have gotten a text then,
maybe, yeah. I feel like they
which would
would've
have been cool
confirmed
for
that.
you guys.
yeah, it would have been cool.
Because
for
like
me.
the whole point of her,
That would have been crazy.
she persevered through the storm this time, right? And like saw that shit through. So it'd be very interesting if like this is how they undid our decision from Life is Strange 1, which would be fucked up. Don't do that. But I don't know. It could be cool. It could be interesting if they like did that for the next game.
And I don't want to speculate on developers or publishers or whatever, but I'm going to speculate a little bit.
Do it.
This feels
Do we have
like
the speculation station sound effect?
I don't think we do.
It's just a Games Daily soundboard.
This feels like Square meddling, right? This feels like True Colors did fine, and they're like, we can't just keep on reinventing the wheel every time. We have to make at least three games out of this. We got to continue the story. How do we do that? Well, people like Max, people like Chloe. Okay, let's do that. Let's branch off of that. This does not feel like, oh man, we have this great idea for 3 games. It feels very rushed and forced.
Do you think that this is just the setup game then?
For a bigger thing, I think they want that to be.
I think so too. Yeah.
Will it ever happen? Probably
I don't
not.
think so.
Or I think you get one more. I think this sells enough because the Life is Strange fans are excited and interested. And even when we put out our review, a lot of the comments were like, "Hey, I get it. I'm gonna try it out, right? Because it is such a non-committal 8 hours, $50 experience. Let me try it out."
I wonder, and I'm with you. I could see that at least getting one more. I wonder though, with a middling Metacritic, and then really how much it sells. Because again, we're talking about you can look at the numbers. I was looking at our live numbers, which granted we're spoiler casting, but even the review we put up, right, didn't do great numbers. It didn't do a normal kind of funny review thing of a more thing. So Life is Strange audience, while small, is usually passionate. And so if they're alienated from this, I don't see even if it's sold fine, it meets expectations. This just doesn't feel like what it's delivering. It's making this step of clearly trying to move to be the X-Men, where I really do feel the reason Life is Strange was cool before was this emotional story, right? Whether it was 1 Before the Storm, Life is Strange 2, which I think for a lot of people is forgettable, but a lot of people
I forgot that it existed until
swear by those
earlier in
endings.
the show.
And I remember the endings, and I remember the brothers, and and True Colors, and I think I mentioned in the True Colors review or Spoilercast, oh, it'd be cool that there's all these other people out there. I wonder if they'll ever meet. But I don't want them to meet in we are the outcasts and we have these things and we all need to do it. It should just be these
Our
moments
nose
in
keep
their
on
lives.
bleeding.
That's the thing is, I think the gimmick of Life is Strange is interesting in itself, right? It is a Degrassi style or high school drama or young adult drama with superpowers as an interesting element that's pushing the story along.
As like a
right?
metaphor. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's never like a real thing
It's never
necessarily.
like the core of the. It's not
And I
like
mean, jump back to Before the Storm. There's no powers.
Yeah.
You play as Chloe. Can you remember your lines in the school play? I was like, this. And I'm playing. I'm like, this is great. I fucking love Rachel Amber.
that game's arguments. You argued with people and it was a mini game or something.
Yeah.
God, shout out to Before the Storm. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get Alex back or the Life is Strange 2 kids. I read it as we're gonna find totally new kids with powers. Because what was her name, Violet, or the girl that had the nosebleed at the end of it.
Diamond.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like that is the start of we're building a team, and it's going to be all new characters.
Everybody who gets a nosebleed clearly.
And that's my thing. I was like, so
Diamond's she's got a dry nose.
Yeah, a bunch of elementary school like
Elevation, yeah.
nurse office,
septum.
The nurse's office.
just camping out.
Has anybody got a headache and a nosebleed? I would love to talk to you about this.
Yeah, I'm so interested what the future of Life is Strange is here, right? Like, of course, I do not want anything bad to happen to Deck 9, right? But of course, absolutely not. But I also see like Lost Records,
Lost Records, Bloom and Rage
coming out and potentially eating their lunch of like, no, this is how you make a next generation Life is Strange game. You thought that was True Colors. This is how you do it, right? So, and then just kind of being like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with Life is Strange anymore. Let's shutter this or put them onto some honestly put them onto doing something else completely different off of Life is Strange Deck 9, and then maybe look at Donut and be like, hey, do you want the license back? We can give this to you.
Make another Captain Underpants or whatever his name was.
That's true.
Yeah.
What was his name? Was not Life is Strange 2?
Captain Spirit.
Captain Spirit. Thank you.
Captain Underpants Life is Strange game would be fire.
That'd be crazy.
Crossover everyone's been asking for.
But it's sad. This is a depressing one for me. I mean, after we finish this one, again, my partner Leanza, the biggest Life is Strange fan you could possibly imagine. We finished this game, and I was like, okay, that sucked, right? Let's watch the Penguin, right? Let's get our spirits up. She looked at me, she's like, I need to be alone, and she walked into the bedroom and locked the door. And I was like, I've never seen this happen to you before when it comes to media. Like, this fucked her up in a real way of like, this is disappointing to the Life is Strange fans, and that's once you have broken that fan base, that very small, passionate fan base, it's going to take a lot to bring them all together.
Do you think we're on the way more negative side? Like the IGN 9 out of 10 surprised me a lot.
Sure,
and
That's crazy.
Going through right, like 73 on Metacritic, I think is pointing.
I want to go to the subreddit, right? Like I haven't looked and done that deep dive, but like for me,
Well,
like
I'm on it. Yeah, let's go. That's a great one.
the subreddit to me is like, absolutely, critic scores are great, but like this is where the bread and
What
butter
are the
is.
people saying?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to the streets.
Oh, they were all just on Strange Reddit right now.
I pulled up the IGN review just because I'm interested.
And don't go to the no salt version of it. I'm sure that exists.
Yeah, we got what I'm looking
Steam
at. One
reviews
here.
are mixed. It looks like
In 8 hours, 8 hour ago, Lone_Wolfie posted on the Life is Strange subreddit, just the overall IP Life is Strange subreddit. Ratings out of 10 for Double Exposure. I'd love to hear people's opinions. Personally, for myself, it's a 6. They obviously rushed the game as there were so many glitches in audio. Oh man, the glitches too. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
like
time the characters were
transitions
speaking,
were
normal
also
volume. Blah, blah, blah. Let's open the comments, which aren't opening for some reason. Here we go. It's loading.
Yeah, mixed on Steam is.
You doing?
What's up?
it's a meme. It's a meme from a subreddit.
Send it to assets. Send it to assets. The story confused me so much I had to pause and say, what the hell happened every 20 minutes? Like a 7, 6.5, 6 out of 10.
And that's
4.5 out of 10. For a new fan who didn't play the original, maybe it would be like a 6 out of 10. I tried to set aside the Chloe issue and play through it as a base sequel. The plot holes are frustrating. The romances were awful. Amanda is all right, just kind of bland. Vin was actually off-putting and his aggressive flirting while mourning a friend who was murdered. I don't like that both romances just throw themselves at you constantly. No respect for Max and Chloe is strange. Anyways, this is the thing. It says your POV. You're in the snapping turtle enjoying your meal and see.
And it cuts to Max holding a gun.
Which is another great point of like they have the bathrooms.
Yeah.
The gender neutral bathrooms right in front of them. So I'm assuming they're one-seaters.
Yeah.
But rather than go into the bathrooms to go between dimensions, Max just walks into the hallway and goes through the
Like close enough.
And we've seen Moses react. So anybody that's just sitting there eating, like what? Having a smoke on the patio, you look this girl opens up a gold door and walks through. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, she's terrible at hide and seek. Because like any of the fucking spots where you change
Are in
dimensions
the middle of
are not secure enough
No.
whatsoever.
Or like hidden behind like a half wall
Yeah.
that like anyone can go to. Only the
He's
ones
like,
in
oh,
the
here's a
offices
corner.
I feel like made sense.
Also,
Subreddit's mad, by the way.
yeah, that's
3 out of 10. If taking into account everything that's been said in interviews, putting Chloe aside, and then another one
Yeah.
here. First 3 episodes were decent, had good moments. Went to shit in the next 2 episodes, especially 5. And that fuckery that is episode 5 ruined all the good moments in earlier episodes for me.
I will say, really dug the music.
Yeah, great soundtrack.
The
great
music in this
soundtrack.
is really good. It reminded me of Lake, where you were like delivering mail on like you're taking over for your
Yeah.
dad, and that also had a banger soundtrack to listen to in the mail truck. I would listen to the music for this again for
Yeah,
sure.
I would love
over
that.
playing it again.
I one last criticism of this, which I think is a huge criticism the more I think about it. We never saw Max teach, and I feel like that is genuinely like annoying. Like I did not understand. We talked about this in the preview, and like maybe we'll get better, but it didn't get better. Of like her connection to the students felt really off and weird, and like I felt like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. Of like she's a student, sort of, but she's a teacher, but she's a student hanging out with it.
She's a photographer in residence.
But she's teaching though, right? She's a teacher.
An artist in residence is when a museum or school recruits a person with a specific skill or attribute to produce work, provide advice, and or promote the museum/school for a defined period of time.
In the first,
so she says she had to give a presentation, but I don't think she is, because she was talking in the first episode to I think Reggie, and he was like, oh, I had a shitty fucking shoot. She was like, no, it's really good, and she was talking about class and workshop. So she's teaching. Maybe she's like
kids.
a TA.
I guess
maybe
it's
like a department mentor.
It's weird. It's a weird choice to
agree.
not have her at least in the establishing shot in a classroom teaching these kids
What's
or
up
doing
with Vin?
something. What's the
Like, what does he do?
He's her assistant.
Yeah, he just
But
works
it-
there.
they do
So
talk
desperate not to go work at his dad's liquor store, even though he's at college getting a degree. He'll take this administrative assistant thing and frame sandbag someone, totally lie about someone's death.
One of his best friends. It's like, okay,
What a golden job I have here, sitting at the fucking desk.
sure, whatever.
Doesn't Amanda also talk about or not Amanda, Diamond talk about how Vin's like so desperate to hang on to Abraxas because he's not in school anymore? I thought he was out of college.
I think he doesn't go to class anymore. I don't know. He's definitely out of college.
I was just confused about like again the relationship between the characters where Max and Vin were having the conversation like the smasher pass thing,
Yeah.
and then they
Oh,
brought up
so
one of
weird.
the students. Like
Yeah, and she does say, I
and she
won't
was
do it for a
like,
student.
I'm not gonna do it for the student. But then like at the end of the game, at least for me, Vin and that student seemed like they were dating.
Yeah, they are.
And I was like,
Which
wait,
is
but I couldn't
random as fuck.
Yeah, I was just very confused of like what the ages were here.
Yeah.
Or what the authority.
Also, like,
relationships
does
or-
Safi go to school? like this should not be
She's
a question.
a grad student, right?
Yeah, I think that's
she's
right.
a grad
I think
student.
that's
The
right.
weirdest
Yeah,
college
yeah,
ever.
yeah, yeah.
But it is weird to have so many of these like one foot in the door, 1 foot out the door characters
Yeah.
set at a
Where
college.
everybody
when-
seems like a student.
Remember when Lucas had a restraining order against Safi? That was a big deal, and then it meant nothing because I didn't even tell Safi about the restraining order.
I didn't
And then
either.
she walks up to him, and he doesn't even mention it, and like we don't even talk about it. Like, and that was one of the big like choices of the whole episode. Whatever. Sorry, now we're just getting into
But
Aaron
this is the
grievances.
problem. I
We're
mean,
just
this is
Aaron
why
grievances.
I honestly think the game falls apart. And for me, Life is Strange, Double Exposure is a 5.5 out of 10. That's for your clip.
Yeah, you gave it clean. I appreciate it.
5 out of 5 out of 5. I'm drunk. But anyways, no, like you examine any of this and it just falls apart because it's what? Wait, but what about this and why that and blah, blah, blah. But if her power is this, why would it do this? Which sucks because again, a lot of great ideas in this.
Great ideas.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think they'll do another one. I don't think you'll get another swing at this.
Lumen Rage, save us.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I think my dream,
February, let's go.
and this might be very wishful thinking, but my dream would be that they just drop the like whole like universe building thing and just do another standalone Life is
Safi
Strange.
went back to her home planet.
Yeah, Safi gave up. Like Safi got 2 days into it and was like, ah, fuck this shit. And then it's like,
This
you know,
won't work.
we get like another
I
like
don't have money. I don't know.
Alex Chen standalone. I mean, not Alex Chen literally, but like give me a new character, new Pacific Northwest town. Like, give me another standalone.
What a DC EU moment if this will be if it's like Max Caulfield will return. Doesn't return. She'll return in Brawlhalla or something. Some crossover content. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, that's another episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast in the tank. We hope you enjoyed this spoiler cast. Of course, you can watch it later. Maybe you beat this long after we recorded it. If so, I need you to tweet at me or Blue Sky or Threads or whatever thing it is now, and I want you to say, that's a nice chair. And then I'll know that you just watched this spoiler cast. That's how I'll know. Just say that, no context, no nothing else, just that. All right? Thank you very much. Remember, of course, there's a Kind of Funny Gamescast for you each and every weekday. If you love what we do here, which is all live talk shows, usually about video games, you should tune in live as we record it. Of course, you can catch us on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. The day starts at 10 a.m. every day with Kind of Funny Games Daily, rolls into a Gamescast, and then rolls into a video game stream like today's sponsor, Death Note. what's the
Killer Within.
Killer Within. I want to say Enemy Within. Thank you very much. Killer Within stream we're about to do. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you like what we do here, help keep the lights and mics on with a Kind of Funny membership. $10 gets you everything ad-free, the ability to watch podcasts in the afternoon live as you record them, and of course, a daily dose of me in a series we call Gregway. For now, until next time, Max Caulfield will return.